Hey guys, welcome to Pollinated by Thistle and Bee. I'm Autumn Chastain, the CEO at Thistle and Bee, a 2-year residential program for women survivors of trafficking, survival, sex, and addiction. And we started this podcast to share our pollinated opinions. And we are we are hoping that you'll see that much like the bee pollinates and shares its small little things across fruits and plants so that it can create new, when we share these survivor stories, each of their stories carries truth and courage and perspective. And every story shared are seeds of growth. Growth in the heart tells another survivor who feels less alone, or provides for a listener that maybe will feel different about things in life, or even the professional that enters in things with a little more compassion and care in their service. So even though the small little acts by a bee create something beautiful with what they pollinate, the survivor stories that we hope to share and the mental health service providers all share awareness, hope, courage, and we hope that it's going to bring a little more awareness to your world too. So today we're welcoming Samantha Brown.
Hello.
So Samantha, tell us a little bit. You're part of Thistle and Bee. Tell us what your role and what you do with Thistle and Bee is.
Okay. So I am the program director at Thistle and Bee, and I am also a graduate. I love that because whenever I came to Thistle and Bee, not only did y'all say that love heals, but y'all said that the mission was for this organization to be survivor-led.
Why was that important to you? What made you think that's key to this?
It showed that, one, that y'all believed in us before we could ever really even see like our potential of where we might go with these things.
Who's us?
Me and the other ladies coming in. Okay. I've been to other programs where they didn't really touch on some of my lived experience, and I feel as if it was something that was crucial, was just knowing that was a portion of this program, but then also knowing that not only does this organization, Thistle and Bee, have that as a goal, but like all of our sister network organizations. And it really creates a lot of hope.
You said that you'd been to different programs and different things in the past that were different from this.
Mm-hmm.
What made you seek out programs in the first place?
Addiction. Okay. Yep. Really, it began just running from consequences. My addiction started to create legal trouble, parental trouble with me and my child. And the best piece of advice that people had to offer me was like, hey, you have a serious addiction. Like, you need to go seek help. There's treatment centers. And so I started navigating that, I think, back in like 2015 was the first time I sought help.
When is the first time that you used?
Oh, gosh. I was in middle school. I was in the 7th grade. So whatever age that is, 12, something.
Was your first experience from drugs, was that friends that you were around? Is it something you knew in life? How did you find yourself even trying it?
Social anxiety. My parents had been divorced. They had just gotten a divorce at the end of elementary school. We moved states away. And the social anxiety was hard. And back then, like, not a lot of people spoke about anxiety, at least not that I heard of. There wasn't anything. I thought that I was different. I thought that something wasn't right. I didn't understand why I felt uncomfortable talking to other kids or just being.
And so did you find other kids your age that were using, or how did you get exposed to it?
Some, I wouldn't call them using, but some tried stuff. A lot of the time I was with older kids. That really kind of made me feel a part of, because some of the stuff that I would say, they would be like, oh yeah, me too. But that was about the extent of our processing of what was going on. The solution was drugs.
And when you say solution, was that to something you were feeling?
Yeah, the anxiety, the loneliness, the confusion, um, the sadness, really.
Okay. And being nosy, what'd you use back then?
So in the beginning, it was nerve pills. It was Xanaxes, and all of a sudden, I took this one pill, and I didn't care to talk to anybody. I didn't care to just. I felt like I was being able to be myself in the beginning.
And do you feel like you at some point lost yourself?
Oh, most certainly. I don't think I ever was able to find who I really was because it stunted my growth. It stunted my processing and becoming who I was because I was so young. It numbed out in the end, and it didn't, and it turned into a lot more than what it began with. So I didn't really get to find out who I was because in the end, um, a lot of that social anxiety led to me wanting to be whatever you wanted, whatever this group wanted, and I could do that. And so that wasn't me. It was whatever I assumed people wanted of me, which back then was typically I just was the fun party girl.
So it was almost what people call the liquid courage. You found kind of inhibitions, and that courage came from that.
Small pill.
Yeah. But you said it came with consequences.
Many. Yep. I knew I was addicted. I experienced withdrawals by the time I was 18. That was one of my goals for my 18th birthday was to quit taking Xanaxes because it had become a daily thing to get by. And that was the first time I was able to experience what it was like to come off of a drug that you were addicted to. And that was, although I would have said openly, like, oh, yeah, I'm addicted, like, I just didn't know to what extent. I didn't know what I got myself into. Even after I experienced withdrawals, I don't think I still knew the extent of what I had gotten myself into for a long time.
Did you have family or friends around you that stepped up and said, "Hey, Sam, we got to get you help"? Hey.
I think that there was family and friends along the way that saw and would point things out. And a lot of it I dismissed. A lot of it I didn't want to hear. And then some of it I misheard, possibly. I misheard and misinterpreted their perspectives of my life. And instead of seeing it as caring, I saw it as control, and I saw it as not understanding me, and it withdrew me even more from any of those people that might have spoke up.
Did you think you had control over it?
In a sense, yep. Although I knew that I was physically addicted, I still thought I had some sense of control.
So you said that you graduated Thistle and Bee, and you came to Thistle and Bee because of the idea of being survivor led. What led you to Thistle and Bee?
So I had spent 4 years in prison, and I was going up for parole. And there's these sheets that will say who is TDOC approved, and Thistle and Bee was listed. And they all gave like a super brief description of, like, there was some that a lot of people would like to go to because they were short term. You get a little laptop while you're there so you can look for a job. Some were like, you knew that it was co-ed. One side was girls, one side was guys. And a lot of those, like, there was a part of me that was like, that makes sense. But there was the majority of my whole knew that whenever I saw Thistle and Bee saying it was a 2-year program, at first I was like, oh my God, I've never would have thought this. But it was the fact that y'all touched on sexually exploited women, that was part of the criteria, because that had been a serious issue my entire life.
What do you mean by it's a serious issue in your life? How did it touch your life?
Oh, so I had been involved in sexual exploitation since at least like the 7th or 8th grade. Probably a little bit before then. But looking back, I definitely was part of the vulnerable population of youth that was at risk. My parents' divorce, a new city, a new state, isolation from loved ones that cared about me, drug use, poverty. My mom was a single mom, always working. She also had her own stuff that she was dealing with alcohol, and it definitely put me in a very vulnerable place to have something like that infiltrate my life.
Do you have moments that you look at that you think, this is why they picked me? Or looking back, do you see those triggers when you see relationships that other people have as, that was a starting point in my world? Or do you feel as if yours is more a unique situation?
I think each person's story is for sure unique, but I really think that it's the vulnerabilities that open the door for a lot of what happens in sexually exploited women.
They talk about we all watch the movies and the things with the white van that pulls up at the mall and somebody is hauled into the back and off they go. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what people think when they think of sexual exploitation. But the reality is that's not what most of the domestic trafficking really is.
No.
When you found yourself looking back in that, was it a stranger? Was it family? Was it somebody you trusted? Which is what we often hear
Mm-hmm.
is what gets you into trafficking.
So it began with somebody that I trusted. It wasn't a family member because really I pulled back from a lot of my family. I had a very adverse home life from other children. A lot of the time, I didn't go home. And so I would hang out at a shop in our town. And I started going to this shop for drugs. And then I would start showing up because I had nowhere to go. And so, like, there it is. It's like, oh, okay, so we have this young, dare I say, good looking young girl.
Oh, say it.
That's starting to use drugs already. She's not able to go home. The stories I hear, she has nobody, so nobody will know what's happening. She's not going to be able to tell anyone. And, that man, he stayed in my life till the day I got accepted to Thistle and Bee.
Wow.
And he would say it to me. He had gotten bold enough by the end that he would say, that he had groomed me since I was 13 at least.
Would just flat admit.
Yep, he was just bold enough.
Do you know if he, as he said, groomed others or?
I would say probably yes. And, he definitely opened the door for me to not only be sexually exploited with him, but also others. And then I also brought a lot of other people into that chaos. That was part of the grooming that I had, was to bring more.
So bring more women. Recruiting.
Yeah, bring more girls.
They have terms for those, right?
Yeah.
So
I was a recruiter in the beginning.
With that, what age was that started?
Oh, that started at least by 13.
Okay. So at 13, you're still trying to figure out what is a relationship, what is love, did you think?
And that's what I thought. And that's what I thought. My first boyfriend, I brought him to that guy. because he was my family. And that's what I truly believed. You know, I knew that we were living in a different world than some, but for the world that we were living in, he was the closest thing to like what I would have considered out. Some people are like, that's my blood family. That's who I trusted.
And do you feel like that shaped your relationships, or what love should look like, or what you thought love looked like?
I think everything from my childhood up shaped it. It still affects me now. And I think that it most certainly, what I saw as a child of love and relationships, what I experienced in the dynamic between my parents, especially after the divorce, gave me a definition of what I thought then was love and loyalty and really just family. And then whenever I met him, oh, it was so much better than what I'd experienced. So that was where I was like, okay, then this is it. That wasn't it. This is it.
You often hear when women first come into these programs, or when they're asked if they have been victims of trafficking or exploitation, they don't see themselves as victims, that they were in control. Did you feel at the time that you were being victimized? Did you feel like you were in a victim role? Would you have said, yes, I'm being victimized?
No. Nope. In fact, if there was moments where I probably thought I was playing him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did have some probably what I would have considered and called just dark moments, but maybe they were moments of clarity. I remember one in particular telling a girl, I was taking her to go turn a trick, and she was talking about how she wished her life was like mine. All she saw was like me having credit cards and getting to go shopping, and I remember I looked at her and was like, "This is not what you want," you know. And so just thinking back to that memory shows that, you know, like I had lost control because I didn't enjoy what was happening, but I was still doing it. I was still bringing others into it. I knew no other way.
Do you think if you had not gone to prison, you might still be in that life?
Oh my gosh, it's a vicious cycle. Yep. Yep. I remember being excited
About going to prison?
Mm-hmm.
What was exciting about that?
I was leaving that town.
Okay.
I was leaving that town. I had time to try to figure out how I was going to do what I was going to do.
But you said he was still reaching out to you even while you were in prison?
Oh, yeah. He took care of me. Yep.
Money on your books,
yep.
Commissary,
anything.
Phone. Okay.
Anything and everything.
So what did it take for you to say, I'm no longer going to accept this from you?
Thistle and Bee accepting me.
Okay.
During the interview, they asked me, they already knew. It's super like, super detailed. They want to know everything. I have no idea how long that interview lasted. I think I was so like fuzzy with it all. I didn't even hear when y'all had accepted me. They, I guess whatever I said, they could tell. And they were like, you do know that we've said that you're accepted. I was like, I had no idea. I didn't know that's what you said. But they asked me, like, do you think that you can end things now? And that was a hard month.
Was the decision to end things hard, or was the actual process hard?
The process. Yeah. I had wanted to end things for a long time. I had done things which were not the healthiest of things. I would do things of like, you know, ramming my car into his, having physical altercations. And I would think, if I do this, there's no way he's going to want anything to do with me, because I could not ever stick to staying gone. Because something always would happen to where I would need to come back. And he loved that. And I hated it. I hated to hear, I knew you'd come back. I told you can't do this without me.
And that's what they create in that grooming is you
Mm-hmm.
feel like that is who you have to go to.
Yep. And he showed me that for a lot of years, especially those developmental years of my brain as a child. Like, to have him be that one person that was always there, it definitely, I still hear his voice.
How long ago was it that you first started with Thistle and Bee, with the program?
2021.
Okay.
So it was about March of 2021 was the last time I spoke to him.
So with Thistle and Bee, when you go, we talk about it has 3 phases.
Mm-hmm.
And that first phase really being the hardest. And whether people are going to stay or not stay. Did you have thoughts of walking out that door?
No, but I'll tell you this, I didn't trust myself. I had been at many places and thought this was it. They'll always say there's always at least one group in each treatment program that'll say the statistics, and they'll tell you to take a look around, and that they'll give you the number. Oh, there's 11 here. 2 of you might be at the end. And I remember looking around and thinking, God, I hope it's me this time. Because I didn't want to be so sure of myself. And each day I would journal. Really, they were like prayers. I felt awkward doing, I don't know, internal prayers. I had to write them. And they always began with just, don't let me forget my why. Don't let me forget why I came here.
And what was your why?
I wanted a new life.
For those that haven't been through the program, talk about that first 90 days. What's so important about that first 90 days?
Oh my gosh. Well, I gotta tell you, for me, it was really getting a sense of the other people, and especially the staff. Because it's like, you say I'm going to get to stay here for free. You say you're going to help me. And you just kind of, for me at least, I was just really trying to see.
Because you didn't trust.
No.
You didn't trust anybody, right?
No.
And that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
So for that first 90 days when they said this is your bed, you owe nothing for it.
Mm-hmm.
This is your programming, you owe nothing for it.
This is your kitchen. I had a hard time going through that kitchen because I was like, this is not my kitchen. It took me probably the first 90 days. I remember talking about it and being like, I've just now felt comfortable to like start to look through the drawers to do anything. Because I was like, this isn't my house. This is not my kitchen.
How long do you feel like it took for you to start realizing, okay, I'm here. Maybe they do mean it because they haven't asked for these things. Uh-huh. How long do you think that took for you to start thinking, maybe I'll give a little trust?
I think it took me those 90 days. Yeah. I had a lot of, being in a different world, being secluded in prison for a long time really like changed a lot of social dynamics for me. So it took me a minute to just acclimate really back to living out here. And so I think it took me the 90 days, and I was super glad to go to meetings and to go to IOP. People will ask me, well, what did you get out of IOP? I did get some great things, don't get me wrong, from the therapeutic services that they offered, but I learned how to use my voice again because I just stopped talking.
The IOP is the intensive outpatient programming.
Yep.
And it's you and clinicians and or groups for long periods of time.
Yeah.
What's important about having those long stretches of really focusing on you?
It helps you to start to dig in and process things with others, and it allows you to be like, because somebody else might be saying something that you're scared to say, and you're like, wow, me too. Even if you don't say it, it's helping you in those moments. Or it's nice to be able to say something and be in a room where people don't appear to judge you. If anything, they really are just trying to, a lot of the time the clinicians will make it to where if they're not already, they're like, what would we say to support her in this? What would we say if we was there when this happened? you know, and it really gives you a like just an idea of like, one, you're not alone. Two, you don't need to have shame and guilt. And three, like community is so important. Just having those other people there just to listen and not be like, ugh, how, what, you know, like, it's good.
Why do you think that it is that so many people don't make it through that 90 days? What is really hard about that 90 days?
It is hard to change your lifestyle. It is, it's a long set of programming that's already happened. You know, whatever your age is, you've already learned a lot. You've already got a lot of beliefs, possibly irrational beliefs, probably beliefs of other people's that you've clung on to, and it's hard. It's hard to challenge those irrational beliefs and internal perceptions of yourself and others in the world, and it's scary. Change is scary, you know. It's discomfort, sitting in some discomfort, like come from discomfort, but it's your norm. I became familiar with my discomfort in the past. I knew how to somewhat cope and get through. I knew what it looked like, at least.
When you could numb if you didn't want to feel it.
Yep.
So what's the difference in having to sit in your feelings sober and work through rediscovering yourself?
Oh my gosh. Feeling those feelings and just even being able to put a name on them is still sometimes, but was very extremely challenging. I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know how to deal with it, not in a healthy way. My brain still has a Rolodex of a lot of unhealthy coping skills that it learned throughout the years. But I do have a pretty somewhat, I would like to say, healthy inner dialogue now, to give myself grace with that. It's a lot of years to have learned things, and they worked then. They helped me make it. Mm-hmm. And so I don't ever want to shame that part of me. I appreciate when my brain pulls up any coping skill, but I'm glad that today I can challenge it and be like, we're not there. You know, that's not my life anymore. I'm with different people. I am safe. It's a different environment.
Did you, in those 90 days, have that feeling of, I can still control what's going on. I can still manipulate the things that I need to, because you had been trained to groom and do. Did you feel like, if I need those skills, I can pull them out and have to learn to revert away from them? Or
so I was pretty scared of myself, really.
Really?
Yep. I remember one of our first house meetings, crying out on the back porch because I told them that it is hard for me to not be scared of myself, because I think my brain works differently when I walk into a room. I start assessing it in possibly unhealthy ways. And to me, I wanted to just make sure that I was doing my best to be self-aware, because I was disgusted with that girl. But someone told me that day, they're like, listen, you have skills. Yep, you've used them in an unhealthy way, but they don't have to be unhealthy. You'll figure it out. You're going to figure out how to have transferable skills that are healthy, that do suit you in this new environment, this new life. Give it some time.
You know, that's fascinating to hear, because hearing you say I'd walk into a room and I would assess it. And I'm assuming you're going, I know that person's vulnerability. I know this about this person. I know how to get this from this person. Mm-hmm. And you used those, like you said, in this unhealthy way. Mm-hmm. And now you're a graduate of the program. You've gone through the therapies. You've identified even some of those skills now as strengths that you're using to help others identify. Yep. And that lived experience is something I can't relate to, I can't bring to the table. And it fascinates me to see almost that same skill set being used through your voice for such a different reason now. So I want to talk a little bit and let people hear about that journey, about how you transitioned what you knew as coping mechanisms or what you'd been trained as grooming to what you've done post graduation now and what you're doing now. So tell us, you graduated how long ago?
I graduated 2 years ago.
Okay. So 2 years ago, what'd you do after graduation?
Oh my gosh. So before I graduated, while I was in the program, I started going to school to become a drug and alcohol counselor. I
How far had you gotten in regular schooling
before
before?
then, so I had dropped out after the ninth grade. I, thanks to a boyfriend of mine's mom, went and got my GED.
Okay.
And once I had my son, I went to college, but that was mainly like, yeah, I wanted to give it a try. I didn't stay much, and I got awful grades that they're still affecting me. But I went mainly for the money, for the financial aid that would be offered for having a kid and being able to go.
But that was before you went to Thistle and Bee.
Mm-hmm.
So when you graduated Thistle and Bee, you started training and doing your drug and alcohol counselor.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about what you went on to do different with your education skills after you graduated.
So I continued going to school for my associates. I finished that out. I've transferred over to University of Memphis, and I'll graduate with my bachelor's in social work next year. Let's see, I've went through the state training to become a certified peer recovery specialist. I did that while I was in the program.
Is that something that Thistle and Bee offers to those that are interested in pursuing that? Or
Thistle and Bee will offer anything that is a healthy goal or alignment with whatever anybody wants. Definitely, we highly value really anything that the resident is wanting in their life that's a healthy goal. And if it's not, we're going to probably figure out what the healthy route is for that goal. But definitely love education. It's a very nice, what I would call backup plan at the very least.
okay. And we've had residents as young as 19
Yeah.
that are working on things. We have 64-year-olds working towards their GED, folks that go towards their master's. So this impacts everybody. So you had started with your associates and started some college before you started with Thistle and Bee. We've had 19-year-olds, we've had folks pursuing masters, we have 64-year-old getting her GED along with her granddaughters. Why is it so important that we adjust what we're offering in that education to each woman's story or meet them where they are?
Oh my gosh. Not just even with education, it's so important to meet them where they are in everything, because, like, we all come from such unique situations and backgrounds. Like, some of us completed school, some of us already went and became nurses or massage therapists, and and then things happen. Some people didn't do school.
Well, we see that even with our social justice enterprise. And when you were in the program, you were part of that, where we harvest the honey, make all the products. But we see some of the ladies that can look at a whole task list and tackle all of them with ease and come up with ideas. And then we have others that struggle with one unique task because of maybe impacts of abuse or the drug use or some cognitive issues. And so finding what works for them, even in that job situation, what does that do in your recovery and your reclaiming of your own skills and worth and identity to know, okay, that I can do this one thing is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm praised for being able to do this. And both of them are equally as important.
I think it's super important because one, it'll build their self confidence. Two, it's not an unattainable goal, which I think really just that's why people, when you say, like, let's set a goal and let's set all these small attainable ones, it's like if you're giving a task to someone that they're just not there yet, like, it's crushing. We already have been beat down so much with what we've heard, from people in our lives, even just the media of things, like what we're supposed to be and what we're not supposed to be. And, there's always a dialogue running in our head. So when you go somewhere, and especially I've found that so many people at Thistle and Bee, they're so grateful. They want to do as much as possible. Like if they're at work, they want to do a good job. If they're doing their programming, they want to. And it's all about trying to, make sure that we're meeting them where they're at. It helps them learn, like what they are, in a sense, like able to do, and what's the next step to, like what's your next goals, like what else do you want to do, like let's learn that, let's go do that. And but also reminding them, like, to not look, your comparison is awful, it can really beat somebody up. And that's one thing that we say. It's just not, I always heard it in the program whenever I was there, it's not a cookie cutter program. We're all our own unique individuals. We've all had unique circumstances. And some people, it's just going to be maybe a little bit tighter of a handheld to walk the journey, because Thistle and Bee don't do it. It's up to the person. We help them navigate it. We help show up and support them, give them a safe space to learn and grow. But it'll always be up to us to put in that action. And as we keep going, we start to build up that self-esteem, that belief of maybe I can. And then hopefully eventually turning, you know what, I think I can do that. And that's going to take some time because we probably had a lot of I can'ts.
So that ties back to what you talked about earlier with the gentleman that you said groomed you, who said, I knew you'd come back.
Mm-hmm.
When you needed something or you needed help or a solution, you went back. And I know we have wonderful people that care and love the women that are in our program, and they want to do and do and do for the women. And we always say, we're not doing it for them. That's not helpful.
No.
You have to do it yourself. What would you tell those that just want to help and do about the empowerment side of letting somebody realize they can do it themselves, that they have that power themselves?
I would definitely say, thank you for caring so much. But the answer doesn't lie inside of them. The answer lies inside of whoever it is that's going through whatever it is. So as much as they do, like, it doesn't mean it's going to line up with what their journey needs. So it's super important to be there. Really, it's just about being there. You be yourself. You do you. Show up and let them be their self. Let them do them. When you see something, it's okay to have healthy, sometimes what we would call hard conversations of like, I just want to make sure you're aware that, like, what you did back there might not line up with what you say your goals are. And that's okay, but you're not going to be able to change it for them.
So it's not a judging. It's maybe kind of those bumpers in bowling.
I think it's true love.
Yeah.
I think it's true love. That's what I try and tell the ladies all the time. There's a reason that there wasn't these, what we would call hard conversations happening in our past lives, because nobody probably even knew these type of healthy communication styles, but also like they might not have even been aware themselves that this is an unhealthy behavior, this is an unhealthy dynamic, this isn't leading toward a sufficient future for you. You don't know until you know, and you can't do better until you know better. And a lot of people that we had in our lives didn't know better. I truly believe that in those environments. But now that we're in a safe environment with people that do know better and they do better, I think that it's super important for us to speak up all across the board, even if it's somebody's first day in the house. They might have knowledge in an area that somebody who has 1 year in the house hasn't hit on yet. It's important to just have the safe space to have conversations that make you kind of feel uncomfortable. But it's important because that is love. That is me saying, I'd prefer to sit in some discomfort right now than to sit back and see something that might not be what you say your dream is, what you want. Instead of sitting in comfort and sitting back and letting something slide that it just don't seem right.
Letting life just happen to you.
Yeah. Nope. In fact, that's one thing that I will tell myself, because relapse is real. Overdose is extremely real. And we are at high risk for, some very awful and real things that can happen to us. And I'd prefer to have a hard conversation any day than to have a hard pickup on the corner of the street because you went back out. Have a hard memorial service because you left, you went back out, and you overdosed and didn't make it. Some people, they make it, thank God. Some people don't. And to each person, I think we're all going to continue to learn as we go. I definitely don't know everything. But I do know that I'm going to do my best to show up and show what my definition and what my perception of love is. And I hope it continues to evolve and grow. I learn every day from people in the community, the women at the house, and a lot of the time, I'm mirroring that.
So what is your personal goal with Thistle and Bee, with you, with who Samantha is? What is your personal goal now that you've graduated and are learning more about yourself?
My personal goal with Thistle and Bee is to always have some sort of voice here. I can foresee me being a little old lady that's retired and at least on the board, because I want to have a voice. I believe in the mission. Y'all have most certainly made a believer out of me. I just want to keep learning who I am. I want to keep figuring out who I am authentically and knowing how to love myself and love others, because I'm still figuring it out.
What do you want others to know about Samantha?
She's trying her best. She's doing her best, because I'm putting action into it. I make mistakes. I do my best to recognize those mistakes. I do my best to be open.
And own them.
Yeah. Yeah. No matter what. And I am a human. I'm just like everyone else. We're just humans. I have a past. I am so glad I made it. I hope that what I went through and experienced can help someone else. For the longest, I didn't understand why my past was what it was, but today I'm finding purpose in it, and I just really enjoy helping other people too.
Well, I thank you for your conversation today. And I thank you for sharing and your work you're doing and the example that you set. I enjoy working with you every day. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in for our first podcast, and we hope to invite other survivors, other providers, and share the voices that are in this space so that we can all share love, share hope, share courage, and be the light for those that are still out there and looking for their way. So join us again as we share our pollinated opinions here at Thistle and Bee.
See you later.
Bye.